Hi everyone, welcome back for another video. I'm Sarah Kate. I make motherhood and simple living videos every week. Today we're sitting down and chatting about our TBR list. What have we read so far this year? What are we currently reading? And what's on the shelf for the next 6 months? The year's half over, I can't believe it, but I thought today would be a great day to sit down and just do a mid-year check-in. Of course, it is raining outside. It's so on brand for me for it to be raining today. I can't control the weather, but I'm not complaining. I love it very much. But what prompted this video was I was making my summer wellness favorites video last week, and I was like, oh gosh, I didn't include any books, and I have so much to catch you up on that I've been reading, that I want to read. So I thought that we could just sit down and do a little book check-in. So before I get started, I would love to know what you've been reading, what you've read so far this year. Do you have any favorites that have stood out to you? Let me know down below. I definitely have a few books that I'm like, oh my gosh. Then there are some absolute standout favorites that I can't wait to share with you. Just a reminder, I absolutely love reading. I just picked it up recently over the last couple of years again. Actually, since I had my son Thorne, I started reading again. All those late nights when you're up with baby, I just got so tired of being on my phone that I found it more fulfilling to read a chapter here and there. Reading for me is just one of those self-care routines that I do. That is why I like to talk about it. I feel like it's just like a fulfilling self-care hobby. Good escapism tool for me instead of like reaching for my phone or social media or TV or anything else technology wise. It is just so nice to be able to like pick up a book. It really helps me like focus because I can't focus on anything else if I'm physically reading a book. So there's just so many positive takeaways for reading. It's just helped my mental health a lot. I really encourage all my mom friends to do it, and even if you're not a mom, it's just so relaxing. I've also really enjoyed ebooks. That's something that was new for me this year. I gave it a try and I'm so glad I did. I absolutely love listening to books. There's something so comforting about somebody reading me a story, and it's also like a 2-for-1 because I'm getting to hear a story while I'm like doing chores and dishes or something. So highly recommend reading whichever your favorite method is. It's just another great way to take care of yourself. So if you haven't done anything to take care of yourself self-care wise, here's your weekly reminder to check in with yourself, make sure that you're doing some self-care activities for you and taking care of yourself before you take care of everyone else around you. This is your reminder. Make sure you do it. It just got substantially darker in here, so I just tried to open another window to bring in more lighting. I am trying to be very creative with my cropping of my camera today because we are making some big moves for our art studio transformation. If you haven't seen any of my videos on that, I'll tag them somewhere around here. I'm in the middle of redoing my art studio right now, and we have currently made some really major changes that I'm so excited and I can't wait to share with you. But I'm trying not to give you any sneak peeks, so I'm trying to make sure this is not giving away anything. Let's go ahead and just move in and jump into what I've read so far this year, and then we'll check in on my Goodreads and see how I'm doing on my yearly book goal. First up on my list was the Maureen Johnson. She has like a murder mystery series that I was thoroughly enjoying, and I read all of 3 of them and they were fantastic. I highly recommend them. If you enjoy murder mysteries, they were great. I was just looking up the titles to share with you on Google, and I saw that Maureen Johnson released another book in this series this year. I didn't know that was happening because the 3rd book, which I think was The Hand on the Wall was the third book. I thought that was the last one. They wrapped up the series so well, but there's a new book called The Box in the Woods. It sounds really cool. So it's our main character, Stevie Bell, is she's solving her first mystery outside of Ellingham. So as soon as I finish this video, I'm gonna have to go see if I can get my hands on the book so I can start that one next. But all of the books in the series so far, I highly recommend. Those were great reads this year. The next book that I read was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I heard about this book from other book readers on the internet, and they all pumped up the book. I thought it was going to be great. I had high hopes for it. However, I am saddened to let you know that I was not happy with the ending. Just specifically, like, the last 3-4 chapters were extremely predictable for me. I was like yelling at the book, like, please don't let it end like this. I think the only really good things about the book was there's some really fun banter back and forth between the two main characters. And then I also enjoyed that they put Lucy, the female character, as kind of the person that was saving the male character. I enjoyed that a lot. However, I felt like that they really overplayed it by just repeating over and over again how the male character was so tough and he was a big guy, and like, I just felt like it was just overplayed. Like, just let her save the guy. Like, why did the author have to like drive home how he was such a big tough guy who was actually so shy and sensitive? Like, it was just so repetitive that it just took away from what they were actually trying to do, in my opinion. I was just not buying into how Josh took a day off of work and then they never revisited why, and then there was a whole like position that was open for the job. Like, it was just too predictable for me. I already knew what was gonna happen, and the fact that when they went to his brother's wedding and they didn't talk about the bride at all, and then Josh had this weird past with the girl, like, it was just so predictable. I'm sorry, I did not like it. I don't recommend that one. Next couple of books I read were, I guess you would classify them as like self-help books. I was really into reading about decluttering this year because that's kind of been our journey. I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I think is an extremely popular book. I didn't realize that, but I loved it. It has really great tips on how to cut bad habits and how to increase positive habits. It's just, I get the hype around that one. That one I get, and I do recommend. The next book I read was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. This is honestly the first book that I've read by her, and it was actually so life-changing. It is true. The title is true. Expecting some really good tips and tricks on decluttering and organizing, because she is so famous for her organizing. What I was not expecting was just like this respect that she has for items and the relationship she has with her items. Like, it blew me away. But the way she describes her relationship with items is so beautiful and really makes you want to love everything you own. That was another thing she kept driving home, was just being surrounded by things that you absolutely love. Not things that are like, I like that, or that reminds me of this one time, but when you look at something in your home that you absolutely love it, and if you surround yourself by only things you love, now that's living Marie Kondo style, and I'm all about it. I'm trying to get there. It's going to take a really long time. Next book I read was The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha, Philia. And so here's my problem with books, is I never read about books before I actually read them. Like, I'll just go into a book not knowing anything about it, unless it was like recommended by somebody else that I know or that I see online. I try to learn as little about a book as possible, so I go in with unbiased opinions and just like kind of a clean slate. So I didn't know this was a book of short stories. I normally am not like a short story book person, I've learned, but this was an exception. I loved the short story format in this book. It was great. I did not know it was going to be as steamy as it was. It was quite steamy. But it was a lovely book, and I definitely recommend that one as well. This book I read was actually my first book for my local book club. I am so excited. I joined a local book club and it's just like a few of us ladies gathering around outside, social distancing, obviously, because that's all I can do right now. But we read Educated by Tartt Westover. This was a book chosen by someone else in the group who kind of started the book club herself. So again, I kind of went into this not knowing anything. It is quite the roller coaster ride. It's about a woman who grows up with parents who have some really radical beliefs. They are basically survivalists living out kind of in the middle of nowhere. I did learn about this nonfiction book is that it is actually extremely popular. The author has been interviewed all over the place. I think she's been highlighted on Ellen, on Oprah, on all, like everywhere you can imagine. I think Bill Gates interviewed her. Just so many people. And for good reason. There's so many good lessons in this book. There are some parts in there that are really difficult to read, but the ending is very rewarding. The takeaway from this book was that you can love somebody and still let them go. And I feel like that is such a simple thing to say, but when you read it in the context of this book and apply it to your life, there's something that just clicks, and I think that's maybe why this book is so popular. But there's a lot of other major topics that are worth discovering and learning about within this Tartt Westover nonfiction. I definitely recommend this book. I found myself looking up the author and just wanting to learn more about her. When I finished this book, okay, so this is one of those books that like you finish a chapter and you want to go directly to the next one. And I might have mentioned this in one of my other videos. I felt like I talked about this book before, where I think I probably just read like a few chapters and I was like, it starts on a high note and then it just goes up. It continues that way, just so you know. It is such an easy, good read. If you're someone that's looking into getting back into reading, I think this is a great book to start with. And I just found myself really kind of obsessed with the author and wanting to learn more, so I looked her up on the internet and was just finding all kinds of interviews that she did, and she did some like graduation speeches. She's just so inspirational to me. She essentially put herself through college on her own and with no prior, I don't want to give the book away. Make sure you read it. Just make sure you read it and come back here and we'll talk about it. I can talk about that book all day. But with that being said, our next book for our book club meeting that I'm in is called Before We Were Yours. So I want to be clear, I did not vote on this book being our book of the month this time because I just feel like I was not in the mental space for it. I actually know a little bit about the backstory. I'm like, oh gosh, it's going to be sad and I don't know if I'm ready for that. But Before We Were Yours is actually based on a true story. I think it was the 1930s, 1940s, where there was a huge scandal of kidnapping poor children and selling them to wealthy families. I remember watching Unsolved Mysteries or a show similar to that and hearing about this for the first time when I was a kid, and I was just terrified. It is so sad and heartbreaking, and I think in one of those episodes, like, it was like one of the unsolved mysteries that were solved. They went back to give you an update, and it was like these siblings were reunited when they were older because they realized that they were separated when they were children. I don't know. It's heartbreaking. I'm making my way through it. The writing that Lisa Wingate used in this book is making this read a little more bearable for me. I do feel like she's doing a really good job with her storytelling. Like, I don't feel like I'm bombarded with a lot of negativity, so I'm kind of getting caught up in details versus like the overall heartbreaking story so far. But again, I'm only like 4 or 5 chapters in, so that is where I'm at right now. That's what I'm reading. What else am I reading right now? I am reading Talk Everlasting by, who wrote that? Natalie Babbitt. And the only thing that prompted that is I used a quote from that book in my Simple Summer Living video, I think. And I just really loved the quote. I feel like I remember reading this book when I was in school. It's like a young adult's book. It's a fun, uplifting read for now. To balance off that fun, upbeat read, I'm also, for some reason, reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. That's actually for my other book club that I'm on, the online Dark Academia book club. Again, it's another book I was like, I don't know if I'm going to read this month because it's a pretty dark storyline. It is such a long book. I don't know if I'm going to finish it in time for this month. And that's okay. Honestly, I'm not putting any pressure on myself because, again, I like to read for fun. I'm not trying to stress myself out, right? That's all I got going on for my personal reading this month. I thought it would be fun to throw in a book that my son is really loving right now. He's 2.5, so if you have a kid around that age range, I do highly recommend a book called Ollie the Stomper. My son is obsessed with this book right now, and honestly, for good reason. This is such a sweet book. It's about a gosling who has a couple of other gosling friends, and like, as you can see, it's only like 1 sentence per page, but 2 of the goslings have boots, and the main character, Ollie, does not have boots, and he wants to wear boots. It is so cute. It's an easy read. Like I said, there's only 1 sentence per page in here, and it's an easy book to kind of act out, which is perfect for like 2, 3, 4 years age range. It's perfect to act out scenes. This book makes it easy. There's a lot of stomping going on. There's some yelling going on. There's some jumping. It is just, it's a great book for that age range. I highly recommend it. It's so cute. My toddler loves it. Here's your reminder, and make sure you're reading to your kids. If you have kids, read to yourself, however you like to read. And let me know what your favorite books are, because I'm going to be needing some more, especially if you have some more of uplifting books to counteract some of these sadder books that I'm currently reading. Any really good holiday books, let me know, because I will let you know. I'm so ready for Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays. It's already upon us. I'm getting ready to decorate for autumn right now. Let me know if you are starting holidays early this year. I feel like I started earlier every year. But thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you hanging around. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and so you don't miss my video next week. I post every week. Here, stay well, and I will see you in the next one.